Hi everyone, welcome back to Joanne Tech Lover. I'm Joanne, and today I'll be covering this Tesoro Lobera full color illumination mechanical gaming keyboard. This features the Kailh brown switches, but you can also get it in blue, red, and black variants, which is pretty cool because I normally just see them in reds and browns and sometimes blues. I don't really see black switches anymore. Anyway, if you didn't know what Lobera means, it means the Wolf Slayer, and that is the sword that symbolized power that Saint Ferdinand III used. Here's what you get in the box, the keyboard itself, which I'll go over in just a bit, but first let's take a look at the cabling. So you get some thicker braided cable, and this measures 1.8 meters or 5.9 feet. Now at the end of the cables you do get some connectors. So here are your two USB 2.0 connectors, and you also have your headphone and mic jacks for the pass-throughs on your keyboard. You also get, of course, a USB 2.0 hub, which is awesome. And now let's take a look at some of the guides. So you get a quick start guide showing you what the keys are. And then you also get a Tesoro product guide. And inside you get to see some of their other keyboards and whatever else they have available for you. And those documentation items came in this packet. And they said that we have no CD because the software is outdated, yada yada yada. So go ahead and go online to check that out. And last but not least is this USB power cable. So here it is, and you're like, oh, what is this for? Well, this is to supply additional power to the hub on the keyboard so that it can act as a charging port. So do not charge your smartphone on this keyboard if this isn't plugged in. Here's a look at the keyboard dimensions. It measures 444 millimeters or 17.5 inches by 206 millimeters or 8.1 inches, and it is 44 millimeters or 1.7 inches thick, and it weighs in at 1.17 kilograms or 2.5 pounds. So I'd say it's semi-hefty for a full-size keyboard. Now let's go ahead and head to the bottom of the keyboard. Here's a look at the bottom of the keyboard, and as you can see, there's this nice brushed metal look to it, but it's not, it's plastic. Anyway, and you get feet down here, rubberized feet for grip, as well as angled feet. And this is something I don't normally see, so you get two height angles. This is the high one, or you could just leave this little foot up and move the big foot down, and then you could have it that high. So we are going to set this up on both just to show you what it looks like. So this is how the keyboard looks at its highest height. And then let me go ahead and change it to the alternative, which is this. And that's pretty common that I see for most keyboards, as well as, of course, no elevation at all. So this keyboard gets 3 of them, which is definitely a perk in my book. On the top right edge of the keyboard, in this purple section here, you get 2 USB 2.0 ports. And remember, this USB hub only supplies 100 milliamp power, so you may harm the keyboard if it's not used correctly. That's where the power port comes in. Be sure to plug that in if you're going to use products with extra juice that need it, or if you're charging your products. And next to that, you have your headphone and mic jacks, so you can go ahead and plug in your headset into your keyboard directly, and then plug the other end of the keyboard into your system, of course. And I love USB hubs on keyboards so that I can plug in my mouse and keypad for gaming, one on each side, so I don't have to reach around to the back of my PC to do it. This keyboard comes with a plastic exterior, but you do get some fancy brush finish on the top of the keyboard as well as on the bottom. And down here on the front bottom, you get this very interesting toolbox design, and this area acts as a palm rest if you don't already have one. They've even added some Allen screws, well, these are fake, to give it a more industrial look. Here's a closer look at the front of the keyboard. It's a standard QWERTY layout with full numpad, and you also get ABS laser-etched keycaps with UV coating. And this is an almost fully programmable keyboard. The function key, as well as some of the function command keys up here, cannot be modified to a command or macro. More on that in the software section. Here's a look at the 3 thumb keys down here. These are 3 additional macro keys. They're fairly easy to reach, and you can keep your fingers on the move keys, which is great. And the last time I saw these were on the Rocket Reviews, I believe. Now, the H keys are the only 3 keys on the board that can be programmed on the fly, but more on that in just a bit. Now here's a look at the function key as well as the alternate commands via the F keys. So we're going to start off with F1 to F3. These are your volume control keys. This is mute, volume down, volume up, which they had dedicated, but it's okay. And then F4 to F6, more multimedia controls, and then F8 to F12, these are your profile 1 to profile 5 keys. Yes, using this software, the Lobera software, you'll be able to program your keyboard macros into your different profiles and then get to your profiles via the function key on the fly, which is great. I love onboard memory. And I also love that they have PF1 to PF5, so you know exactly which profile it is instead of just the color. And one more thing about the profiles is that you get 300 macro keys and 2,000 macro key presses per profile. Here's a look at the LEDs on the right corner of the keyboard. The center 3 are the caps lock, num lock, and scroll lock LEDs, and the left one is the game mode LED plus button, very stealth. This will enable or disable your Windows lock. And then on the right side, this is also another button with the R label. This is the macro on the fly record button, and it only works in game mode. So you would press it, then press one of the H keys, one of the thumb keys, and then record it, and then press the R button again. And I would really recommend you do macro on the fly record for the H buttons because the software just isn't as smooth as if you were to do it on the keyboard. Also, function plus insert will kick you into 6KRO mode, and function plus delete is the NKRO mode. So it doesn't matter how many keys you press, should register all of them. You only have 10 fingers, so you're covered. And then the function plus 8 and then 2, that's your LED brightness as well as type adjust. And a little bit more on that when we go into the LED demo. Once again, these are the Kailh browns. Look pretty much just like cherry browns. It's 45 gram actuation, and it's also the silent, more silent, bumpy variant. Also, you get 2mm travel to activate, as well as 4mm bottom out. Now here's a typing test for the keyboard plus switch. So, one key, and a sentence. Now for a look at the LED demo of this keyboard. So, if you'll notice up here, the game mode is not on, but once we turn it on, Windows will be locked. And then here is the macro key. Just press it, and then if you press one of the H keys, you notice that it'll blink, and then you just type one of these letters, and then you just hit this, and it should be good. I mean, I'll go over this in the software too. And we're gonna kick ourselves out of game mode so I can show you what the default lighting looks like. So function 8, and that would be level 1. Level 2, which is brighter. I love that it's JTL colors. I couldn't find how to program this part exactly, only the profile modes. And then next one, this is fading, and it will take a while. So just going to have to wait for it. There it goes. So this is the breathing effect. Okay, but we're not going to wait forever. So next up is the WASD keys as well as the profile keys. And then the next one would be the number keys included as well in the illumination. And it's interesting, but you can't cycle through the different types. You have to go only up or down, which I don't necessarily mind, to be honest. And one more thing is that you'll notice the sidebar LEDs change color with the rest of the keyboard, and you get a sidebar LED on either side. So we're going to go ahead and set this back down again, and I'll show you what the profile lighting looks like. Now let's kick it into game mode again. So here we go. And just something to note is that the H1 to H3 thumb keys, they always remain white unless of course you have all the LEDs off. So once again, I'm going to go through all the different levels. So there you go. Really quickly, breathing takes way too long. Wish I could speed it up, but I don't think that was an option. So let's go back to full, shall we? Or maybe breathing. Alrighty, now then, let's go to profile 2. It's red, profile 3, and 4, and 5. And from what I saw in the software, it does not look like you can program the colors individually or in zones, but I don't think people really mind this full color per profile. And you can also change the lighting to reflect cycling, so it'll cycle through all the colors that are available for this keyboard, or breathing like you've seen, well, like you see right now, and the like. Here's a look at the Lobera software, and right now we're in PC mode, and this should allow you to program macros that won't be saved onto the keyboard, so I guess it's somewhat of a test site. However, I can't click on any of the keys in order to program them, and you see all of these options are grayed out. You can sync program, but there really is no point unless you can program it. Now then, moving along to profile 1. I already have some macros and whatnot set up here, and in this section you'll notice this white ring, and this will tell you how much of the storage you have used up on the keyboard, because you could go ahead and create these profiles and take them with you on the go without needing to program it again through the software, which is awesome. Now then, profile 2, 3, 4, and 5, you just click it to get to them, but let's get back to profile 1. And if you see the pink areas, those are the ones I can edit. The function keys as well as the function key itself cannot be edited, but I believe everything else can be. Very nice. Now then, I've assigned to Q 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And to W, I've assigned 1. And to E, I've assigned macro. Now, if you wish to know how to do it, simply click the key and then hit macro setting, start record, and do munchies or something, and then stop record. And you could also set delay time or repeat time, press OK, but nothing will happen until you press apply. And this takes very long time to load, which is something that I would like change, because then changing up the software would just be a pain, unless of course you set everything and then you hit the apply button, maybe. Alrighty, it's done applying. Now let's go ahead and hit the R button. Munch, the heck is that? I suppose I didn't do a very good job typing. But here it is, a new word, munchim sacro. Alright, let's say you want to set a key assignment. Go ahead and just type in the key that you want and then hit OK, but we're going to cancel. Or you could launch a program as well as sync a program. Just go in here to find the program that you wish to sync. Or you could disable the key altogether, and this is what I don't like. I wish I could hit these tabs without having to cancel or OK there first, and hit yes or no, or put the key back into its default setting. Now on to the thumb keys. So there they are. Once you mouse over them, nothing happens. Wish that weren't the case. But there's a thumb key setting here. You can go ahead and press it, and then press edit, press a thumb key that you'd like to edit, and then press OK, and then boom, a macro menu pops up. I once again wish I could just get out of here by just clicking somewhere, but I have to click OK or cancel to get out of any of these settings. One last thing is lighting, so we're going to go ahead and hit this tab right here. And you could change up the colors by going to profile 1 to 5 and hitting this area. And then as you can see, there's lots of colors to choose from. Let's say green, but let's just keep it blue. It looks good that way. And then you could do off or single color or single dimming, which is just breathing effect, as well as color loop, which is color cycling, going through the variety of colors that are available with this keyboard. Now then, if I press OK, what I don't like is that if I go to profile 2, it's still color loop. So if I change one profile to color loop, they will all change it. For example, let me change profile 3 to single color. And then suddenly, all the other profiles are single color, which is something I don't like. But just wanted to show you, and hopefully I didn't miss anything, but that's the impression that I got. And that wraps it up for a look at the Lobera software. Here's a look at the pros and cons. So what do I like about this keyboard? I like that it's LED backlit, which can be a pro for some, and there's a wide range of colors to choose from. I also really like the thumb keys, and their placement is easily reachable even with my small hands. And I like the dual angled feet on the bottom, so it gives you more options as to height preference. And the USB hub is useful, and I'm glad that they included a DC cable for extra juice. Also, it's always good to have multimedia controls, but it needs to be dedicated. Of course, it's nice to have a nearly fully programmable keyboard to set your macros to. I think it's better to have profiles you can save straight onto the keyboard versus a cloud, for example, because then you won't have to keep downloading the software onto different hardware. As for cons, I would have liked the macro on the fly record function to encompass the entire keyboard or at least more keys instead of just the thumb keys. And the inclusive palm rest needs to be wider or not there at all. It makes it a bit awkward when I use my usual palm rest with this keyboard. And the software menu is a bit small. I want them to make it a little larger so it's easier to see. And the software could be a bit more user-friendly because navigation wasn't as smooth and it takes a while to apply a setting. The load time really needs to pick up some speed. And even though I like that there are different lighting effects, I wish I could have set different effects to each profile or even to a group of keys of my own choosing. Well, that wraps up this look at the Tesoro Lobera full color illumination mechanical gaming keyboard featuring the Kailh brown switches. If you like what you saw and you want to see more like it, be sure to hit the like, comment, and subscribe buttons, as well as follow me on social media. Joanne Tech Lover Facebook fan page, Joanne Tech Lover again on Twitter, and Joanne Tech Lover once more on Instagram. Also, please don't forget to hit the donate button so you can help expand this channel and feed this techie. One last thing is storeenvy.com, where you can go ahead and check out my 8.5 by 11 inch autograph prints. I guess all that's left to say is, mwah! See you next time!